Hi, I'm Brianna with Sustainable Broomfield, and I'm here to just talk to you a little bit about backyard composting. We are basically mixing green materials and brown materials together to optimize the decomposition process. So to get the green materials, we usually start in the kitchen. And here we can start with things like your coffee grounds, those are great. Your tea bags are wonderful. If you have tea bags that have a string on them, just make sure it doesn't have a staple on it. You can use loose leaf tea as well. We can also put in Kleenexes, napkins, paper towels, those are okay. Eggshells are great, you might crunch them up. They do take a while to decompose. If you see eggshells in your final compost, that's okay, just throw it in your garden, it'll break down eventually. I've got an apple core, a little piece of a carrot, some cauliflower scraps here. We also have a banana peel. A lot of these things you want to cut down into 3 or 4 inch size pieces. It'll just make your decomposition go a lot faster. And then a lot of fruit things especially have these produce stickers, so any sort of produce. So you just want to make sure to remove those before you're putting it into your compost bin. And this is an avocado peel. I like to really tear those down into smaller pieces. I find that I still have scraps in there, so just try and go really small with things that are a little bit harder. Things like a mango seed is really hard. I wouldn't even include that in there. An avocado pit you can include. I've found that it takes a while to decompose, so I would at least cut it into eighths, for instance. Get them into really small chunks, and there's more likelihood that it'll eventually break down and work out in your compost. You can also use, if you have plant waste from your garden or from potted plants, just again cut those up into kind of smaller chunks to put in there. And that's essentially all of your green materials that you want to add. Now, a few things that you don't want to add from your kitchen. Dairy products. So milks, cheeses, we don't want to put those in. Oils and fats, we don't want to put those in. And meats as well. So these are things that are going to actually attract pests to your backyard compost bin, so you really don't want to have those in there. Also, if you have compostable plastic bags and receipts, you really don't want to put those things in there as well. The compostable plastic just takes a really long time and needs to go to a commercial facility. So now we'll head outside and look at our compost bin out there. So this is a popular type of compost bin you can have in your backyard. It's a rolling one, so you add your materials in the top. It's got holes to let air flow through, and then to turn it, you just kind of give it a big turn, and that helps turn the compost, which is really important. However, bugs have a hard time getting into this bin, so there's another type that we'll show you in a second that's a little bit better. So your other option is a compost bin that sits on the ground, and this is good because it actually sits directly on the ground, and so bugs can actually get up into the compost and they help decompose all of the materials that you're throwing in there. If you have this type of bin, you will need something like a pitchfork. Come on over, and we're going to dig a little hole in our existing compost pile, and then we're going to take our bucket, dump it on in. So once we have our materials in there, those are our green materials, we're now going to add those brown materials, which are the dried leaves, and we want to kind of just mix together the new stuff that we've added with the leaves a little bit. And then what you want to do is water your compost a little bit. Okay, so you want to get your compost about as wet as a wrung out sponge. And watering needs to occur at least once a week, and you can do it every time you add something to it if you want to. So when you're adding compost on a daily basis, once you've watered it, go ahead and just cover it up with some of the old compost in your pile, and it's going to create kind of like an oven to really get your compost batch started off really well. Also, once a week, you want to come out and you want to come turn the compost. So just let me show you how that looks. You're basically just going to dig, move everything around, and your goal here is just to get oxygen to all different parts of your compost pile. Once you have that done, your compost should start cooking, and will turn into a nice finished product in a few months. So now we're at another location where we have some finished compost, and you can see the compost here. It doesn't look anything like the original materials that we put in there. You can see some sticks, and those are things that you'll probably want to sort out. But if you're not sure if your compost is done, take a little handful of it, take a little whiff. If it smells like some good healthy dirt and it doesn't smell sour or rotten, it's done. If it still smells sour or rotten, let it keep cooking for a little bit. Now you can use your compost just like this and throw it in your garden, or if you want to sift it, you can take a shovel, scoop it out, and we put it on a sifting screen over here. I usually like to let it dry for a day, it just sifts better, and then I'll just basically rub it through the screen, and then I get some really nice fine compost material to use, kind of like you'd buy in your store. It also allows you to kind of weed out some of these things like sticks and, you know, a piece of plastic or something like that. Get all the contaminants out of there that you didn't really want in there in the first place. So that's about it for composting. If you have any more questions, please visit our website, sustainablebroomfield.com. We've got a whole page with all sorts of answers to all your composting questions. Thanks so much.